much wiser since my goodbye to you.
I travel the world to tell Russian intelligence everything about our campaign. As Paul Manafort did, 866-99 series. Joining us now from Democratic Coalition, he, during the holidays, we also will be selling him in the holidays, he's making hashtags go viral, Trump resign, Scott Dworkin of the Democratic Coalition. Hey, man, Happy New Year. How are you, buddy?
Happy New Year. How are you, Mark?
Fine. Congratulations on going viral worldwide with the hashtag Trump resign.
I think it's pretty popular for a good reason, don't you think? Well,
yeah.
Thousands of reasons.
I agree. Definitely thousands of reasons. First of all, too, a bit of news on yesterday. Not only did we get the breaking news that Michael Cohen is going to testify this is a public hearing, right?
Yes.
But Michael Cohen actually retweeted you, didn't he?
Right. Yes, he did.
That's funny. Tell us about that.
So yesterday I decided to thank Michael for his ruining, I guess, Trump's trip, because he was trying to do his presser at that same time.
Right.
So I said thank you to Michael Cohen for ruining Trump's trip or Trump's PR stunt in the southern border. And he decided to troll Donald in the ultimate way by retweeting me and also David Corn, two of the people who have gotten Michael in some of the biggest trouble. So it was very, very interesting to see that. And just as a reminder, a few weeks ago, I had asked him, were you ever in Czech Republic ever for any reason ever?
Uh-huh.
And he responded to that too and said, no, of course I don't believe him. But he has been very responsive to me lately, which should be pretty terrifying for Trump.
Him testifying in Congress is going to be pretty devastating for Trump too, isn't it?
It's a John Dean moment. It is and who knows what's going to come out between now and then.
Mm-hmm.
But it really is. There's not going to be really much room to lie, because if he lies, he's going to be referred for criminal prosecution, and they'll probably call him out on it. So it's going to be his one and only chance to kind of clear the air and be straight with the American people about what's actually happened, especially, what it was like working with Trump. And I think one of the things that'll be really clear is the payments to the mistresses and also the intent of that.
Right.
And I think that being clear is going to be a little intense. On top of the fact that Cohen had that one recording of Trump basically ordering him to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that there's other recordings that will probably be revealed during this as well. But it's pretty striking and pretty clear that Cohen's actually pretty serious. Because I will say this: you can't retweet me and criticism of Donald, and the same thing with David Corn, and Trump doesn't notice.
Yeah.
And so I'm guessing that he was infuriated by that.
Yeah, you're on the radar for sure. You always were, but even more so, even more so now. So, also, even in terms of Trump resign, we know Nixon resigned. Folks, quarter before the hour, 866-99 series, quick calls. The thing is, what led to Nixon's resignation is interesting. You talked about the John Dean moment. What led to Nixon's resignation was what people were saying in the public. We've not had public hearings like there were in Watergate. And when you have the likes of Michael Cohen now appearing in public hearings, that really changes the game, doesn't it, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, there's that kind of person that's going to be able to testify publicly, where it's people who used to be defenders of Trump, and then there's going to be people like myself who were, threatened by the Russian government and other people, including Trump allies. And I think, Americans like myself testifying publicly is also going to be pretty hard for them to swallow, because the truth coming out and being verified in regards to different evidence that we've collected,
Right.
it really is going to be tough the credibility battle is going to be really tough for Trump to win, because evidence is on our side, truth is on our side, and it's going to be hard for them to conjure up a bunch of talk when I'm, sitting there with 10,000 videos that prove X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, yeah. Folks, Scott Dworkin with Democratic Coalition. What am I seeing here? You all have actually purchased a billboard in Lexington, Kentucky, holding Mitch McConnell accountable for the shutdown.
Right, and that it basically says end the shutdown now, and that's and the key thing here is we want to make sure that it's clear that it's the Senate that's on. It's not Trump whatsoever, because if the Senate actually voted, I'm almost positive that they'd have a veto-proof majority. So even if Trump didn't want to sign it, we could remind him that Congress is its own branch of the government. It's not something that he owns. And so it's just Mitch McConnell right now. He needs to allow a vote. And so it's no longer, it's obviously a Trump shutdown, and it always will be, but it's no longer on him at the moment. And we want to make sure that the focus is on Mitch, because he has the opportunity to reopen the government and is choosing not to. And that is the biggest barrier we have right now, not whether or not Trump would sign it. Who cares if he would sign it? We need to reopen the government. And I think that, we're looking at probably 80 votes. Now, there's going to be people who vote against it because they want to please Trump, even though they want to vote for it. So I can't see. But you can keep in mind, like, the only reason he's not doing a vote is because it would reopen the government, which is just mind-boggling, because it's hurting so many Americans, and it's so devastating of a blow to so many people getting $0 paychecks. There's thousands of workers today that are not getting paychecks. There are FBI agents that are getting furloughed today, okay? And this is a danger to us. There's TSA agents that are not going to be working. And there's, even in Miami airport, they're shutting down different terminals early every single day because they don't have enough employees.
Yeah.
So, this is very bad. On top of that, I'm not sure if people are going to want to do their jobs, and so that's a security risk as well.
Speaking of McConnell, I saw you retweeted. There's this meme, or was it more than a meme? I mean, this is actual evidence, I guess. Mitch McConnell, a super PAC linked to him, took $2.5 million from a pro-Putin Ukrainian businessman during 2016.
Yeah, that's correct. So I uncovered that in I think it was early 2017. But there's an individual that made his billions, a guy that was born in Russia named Len Blavatnik. He's the richest man in the UK now, where he lives. And he gave, I think it's upwards of $15 million to Republican super PACs, and he's linked to the dossier. He made his billions off of the Russian oil that's mentioned in the dossier, that eventually became Rosneft, and is, of course, the oil company that Carter Page met with in Moscow during the campaign and after the campaign. And so, there's obviously a big connection there. He also gave money to the inauguration itself, and all of these funds now are under investigation by Mueller.
Help our audience. It was Scott Dworkin with us, folks, 10 minutes before the hour. The revelations this week and their significance, both Manafort and Veselnitskaya.
Oh yeah, I mean, the
Funny thing is, we've known about Veselnitskaya being a person who represented the Kremlin for a long time now, but for some reason it didn't matter as much back then. But now it's getting full reporting because she got charged with obstruction of justice. I think the key thing here is, okay, so you met with people that represented the Kremlin, like everybody there, except for Goldstone, represented Russian intelligence or was a former spy.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other side of the table, you have Kushner, Manafort, and Don Jr. And so not only that, but Rob Goldstone, when I interviewed him and pressed him hard, he said that Ivanka met with him outside the elevator, maybe 1 minute, maybe 4 minutes, maybe 6 minutes, and he wasn't really sure. The key points here between that and Manafort meeting, with Russian intelligence-linked Kalimnik in Italy during the campaign, is the fact that by Trump's own definition of what collusion is, he absolutely 100% colluded, and they have the evidence to back it up. And so he still will say no collusion, but he'll say that all the way to the loony bin. So the bottom line here is there was, and the fact of the matter is these are happening. Not only is this, but think of it, it's still illegal if they met with like Canada, right, during that time. But this is our adversary that is attacking Americans at this time. And it's attacking America itself, its infrastructure, and everything else, and our elections. Not only that, obviously stealing emails, basically a Watergate 2.0, where they broke in via the internet instead of the DNC itself. So this is the worst week. It keeps on getting worse for Trump. This is the worst week in regards to his collusion narrative, because I really don't think that even Fox News can muster up enough courage to push against these facts. And not only that, you got to think that they probably have video, audio. They were tracking Manafort when he was there. They knew he was there. He lied about being there. There's so many facts involved here, and also keep in mind, Natalia Veselnitskaya told Congress that she was not linked to the Kremlin. She told them, the entire world via news, that she was not linked to the Kremlin at all, and that was a complete lie. We even have an affidavit we released that we had uncovered that it says that she's represented the Russian government like verbatim for years, and that's one of her main clients. So it lies, and they keep on getting called out for it. And now we have the evidence to back it up. We knew it was true. We knew it was a fact. They kept on saying no evidence, and now there's proof. And I think we're going to see more and more proof come out, obviously, in the next few weeks and few months here.
If you all aren't able to look at our stream right now, if you're in the car or whatever, be sure to look at it later. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, Make It Plain with Scott. The affidavit is on the screen right now. All right, you can see it right there. He posted it last year. So the Democratic Coalition and Scott Dworkin were on top of this. Lastly, this time just flies. Scott, you have information that suggests that even if Trump got what he wanted from the Democrats, he would still want to keep the government shut down.
Correct. I was I went to a meet and greet kind of thing. It was sort of supposed to be a bipartisan meeting, and then these guys started opening up to me, Republican operatives, and talking about their time at the White House and what's been going on lately. And I just let them talk.
Right.
When they were done, I made it clear, this is who I am. This is what I do. Let's expand on this and let's go a little bit further. into this, and we won't drop any names. And so they went a little bit further into it, and told me that basically, even if we gave him the wall funding, even if we gave him $25 billion, he still would not reopen the government because he actually thinks he has more control now than he ever has. And the longer the government remains closed, the more power he gets. So he's actually thrilled. He's thrilled, quote unquote, about this shutdown. And he especially is thrilled that FBI agents are not, there's thousands that will not be getting paid. Some of them will not be allowed to work at all. So, there's a lot of reasons for him to do this. He also thinks that it slows down investigations into him, his company, and just as an FYI, that is not true. It's not slowing down anything. I'm guessing that it increases. They hit the pedal to the metal now because it's a crisis, and the real crisis is obviously the fact that he's in the White House.
Well, but the other thing too, Scott, I would add, and you know this, the right wing, which are his sponsors and enablers, have always been against the federal government as an institution anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They're tenthers. They don't like the federal government because historically to them, the federal government pretty much is what won the Civil War. The federal government has enforced over the years civil rights and voting rights laws, affirmative action. So they see the federal government. That's why he says all of them working the Democrats. And really that's code to Trump being in D.C. There's this perception that a lot of people who actually work for the federal government are black. Okay? So that's not the only reason why he's against the government. I think you're right. In the immediate it helps him, but in terms of their overall right-wing racist ideology, they never could stand the federal government.
No, they never could.
Yeah. Folks,
and Mike Pence is definitely the leader of the troop. I think Trump is more of I think Trump is more of the spokesman at this point, and Pence is actually behind the curtain. He's the Oz on top of Putin, obviously. Oh yeah, I think that his entire dream, his entire life is to shut down the government and do everything the Tea Party wanted to do. And so you're right. People like Mark Meadows and others are thrilled that the government is shut down right now because this is something they've wanted to happen for years. Think about it. The IRS, being slowed and shut down, and other government agencies. And so they're probably, reveling, cheering with each other like, we did it, success. We shut down the government. Hundreds of thousands of people are hurting, or actually millions, because of their families and people related to them. And the struggle. And so you're right. It's a lifelong battle where they've been trying to fight to close down these agencies and parts of the federal government because they don't like them.
They don't like them, right? Scott Dworkin at Funder on Twitter, at the Dem Coalition, Democratic Coalition, doing great works, folks. And again, Trump resign was trending, y'all, and that's a great thing. Website for the Democratic Coalition, Scott?
DemocraticCoalition.org.
DemocraticCoalition.org. Scott's going to be joining us on a more regular basis, folks. He's going to be a regular on MIP. We appreciate that. Follow him. He's on top of it 24/7. Even been leading pretty regular evening protests at the White House also. Scott, looking forward to working with you closely in the new year, man, okay?
Same here, Mark. Keep it real.
Yeah, keep up the good work. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Folks, have a great weekend. If all minds are clear, it has been made plain.